Hi everyone, I'm Denise Meredith, and I'm the CEO of the World's Best Connectors, the WBCs. We have a new website. Take a look. It's thewbcs.com. And Josh did a great job of putting that together. He can do that for you too. So that's what we do in World's Best Connectors, connect people to other people who can get things done. And that's what we say. We help you get your job done. So I'm excited. We have new things going on this year. Most people that have bumped into me the past 3 years have heard me yakking about NIL and all of that type of stuff. The tradition of WBC, we're really more industrial, so to speak. We do contracting, stuff at the airport, things like that. So, but during COVID, I had a lot of time to think, and we do a lot of sports events. So decided to focus in on students because I heard people talking about administrators and coaches and schools making money. I didn't hear too much about the kids. So I thought that's something we could focus on. So what we're doing is helping student athletes and their parents, and that's a different twist too. We're actually working with their parents as well. People say, how can you do that? And I think a lot of parents, sports parents, are misunderstood. Most of them are very hardworking people who have sacrificed a lot to get their kids where they're going. But you only see the other ones on TV. I'm a media person, so in media, you're going to pick the loud people and maybe not the best image. So, but that's not, to me, the heart of parents. So we're working on that as well. So this fall, we'll finally get all of that launched. And our goal is to start 1,000 new businesses with student athletes and their kids. So that's what we're from. But today, we have something a little special. We wanted to do something because it's the Final Four, in case anybody didn't know that, but I've run into people who had no idea. But anyway, the Final Four for women. And what I thought about the Final Four being here in Phoenix, so very excited I was here in Phoenix, is Derrick, who's been my mentor for the past 30 years, was very instrumental in helping that get started here, WNBA. And then, so that's why he couldn't be here today. He was invited, he said, but of course he's running around every town with that today. But you think of where that started, and you know, the arguments over what they would wear, how big the ball was going to be, whether they could go up and down the whole court, or maybe make it a half court. Anyway, people remember all of that stuff and see where we are today. And with the contract that was just signed a couple of weeks ago or whatever, we're going to have the first millionaire women basketball players. So, right, finally, right? So, but the statement I wanted to make today, and this is called Unstoppable, is that they kept going, despite the hardships, despite having to go to Russia and who knows what's going to happen to you there and all of that. They kept going, and the reward is being shown. So what we're gonna hear from some great people today about who have overcome obstacles in a lot of different ways. So you're gonna leave on a high here, and then you can go. There's a lot of different events going on. I can't even. People ask me, I don't know. There's a zillion different things going on. You can go enjoy those. But we wanted to kick off, have it early, kick it off. And we also have a special person, which I'll introduce in a little bit, that I wanted to recognize, because I think we need more recognition of people that are doing the right things. We hear enough about the fights and who hates who and the name calling and blah, 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 blah. We need to hear more about people who are doing well and reward them for doing that. So you'll hear about that in a little bit. But with that, I want to start with a person that I've known for, 25 years, I don't know. Long time. Joelle Martin is a doctor. Joelle Martin, I have to say that, is just internationally known. She's traveled all over the world, 14 countries that you've helped out. She's a consultant, strategist, great speaker. And yet she has an event, great event. That's 17 years, 16 years? 17 years. Yes, yep, for phenomenal women. And she is a phenomenal woman herself. And I've been to that plenty of times, but hadn't been able to get her until today. So I'm very excited to have her come to our event. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of her. But with that, I will turn it over to her, and she'll be introducing the other great people on the panel. And we have one person that we had to pipe in with the airlines and all kinds of stuff. It was sort of ridiculous to think about. He's having Michael come in from California. So We're going to have him on a conference call. You'll be able to hear his story. He's a 9/11 survivor. So how many people know a 9/11 survivor? But anyway, he has a great story because he's blind. It was him and his dog actually survived all of that. So that'll be a great story that you'll hear from. He has a podcast. I've been on his podcast. I wanted to have him for you to hear his story as well. But with that, turning it over to Joelle.
Thank you. Do I need this?
No, I don't think so.
No. Can everyone hear me all right? Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. First off, I am delighted to be here on such a packed weekend. It is so exciting. I mean, well, anyway, as Denise said, we have been friends for a long time, and this is the first time that she and I have joined forces. And she truly is the world's greatest connector. And the people that you're going to hear from and see today, and you'll hear from Michael, who's exceptional, they are phenomenal. And I don't want to do too much talking because you know speakers. We can just go with it. That'll be time for another day. Okay, but to everyone, thank you so much for being here. This is a place of possibility because this woman has set the context for it. Success in sports is powerful, but success in life is the ultimate aim. And the people whose stories that you're going to hear today are exceptional. And each one has taken a different path to be with you today. And how it will work is that I'll introduce them briefly as I can. I mean, and I'm telling you, they have they have backgrounders, immense backgrounders. And we're looking to keep it at 10 minutes, all right, so that we have time for you to ask questions of them, and they have an opportunity to speak more as well. So, I am Dr. Joelle P. Martin, delighted to be here with you, transformational leadership training and development, and lover of people having a successful life. Welcome, welcome to Unstoppable, preparing for the long game. Let's begin. First speaker, the phenomenal, and I'm telling you, the woman is Lauren. Everyone have this? Everyone have your, all right. So you will in a minute. But while Denise is giving you that, Lauren Hobbs, is a world-class champion of tennis. She has earned a national and international recognition in wheelchair tennis. Now she's a leader. She's a community leader of Ability 360 and is very, very much engaged in their programs. She empowers people to transform. And as I had a brief opportunity to talk to you over here, Lauren, she's a success in all areas. Without further ado, please give a loud round of applause to our first speaker, Lauren Hobbs.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here. This is something that I hold so close to my heart, is the impact of sport. I was born with my disability. I have sacral agenesis, so my sacrum wasn't fully developed at birth. So I've been disabled my whole life. I grew up in San Diego, California. And then I guess just growing up, I have been involved in adapted sports since I can remember. My first exposure to adapted sports was at the age of 4. I was the youngest camper at the adapted sports camp taking place in San Diego at the time. And then just growing up, I had an amazing family and amazing parents that kept me involved in staying active, involved with my peers, trying new things, encouraging me to be independent. And so I was really, growing up, I was very fortunate to really not have many circumstances where I was excluded from my peers, and that played a huge role. So essentially growing up and going to school, I was first introduced to wheelchair tennis when I was in 7th grade. My adapted PE coach, Tony Kurtz, at the time saw a competitive drive with me. He was working with me in my PE classes alongside my peers, saw a competitive drive and said, I don't see you playing adapted sports. What's going on here? Let's try to get you kind of involved in that world. And so I tried wheelchair basketball. It wasn't quite for me. I think from a young age, they tried to throw me in that too young, and it was too many big men running into each other. But besides the point, I tried swimming and I tried some other adapted sports. I did wheelchair softball for a little bit, or adapted softball. And then I came across a group in San Diego, Wheelchair Tennis San Diego. They play at Barnes Tennis Center. That is kind of the group that I got plugged in to do wheelchair tennis with. So essentially I started playing then just recreationally, just alongside some other peers that looked like me and were in the same community. So it was all wheelchair tennis players. I started playing recreationally, and then when I came to the age of being in high school, my mom actually reached out to the high school girls tennis coach, and she said, my daughter plays tennis. I'd love for her to be involved. Is there any way that we can have her be a part of this experience playing alongside peers of her age? And so then I became the first wheelchair tennis player in San Diego County to play on an all able-bodied girls high school tennis team. Thank you. Thank you. So essentially the main difference there, tennis is a very inclusive sport. Mainly the difference with wheelchair tennis is that you get 2 bounces. So I received 2 bounces, and my peers or my doubles partner, she would only receive 1. And so that was really the way that they got me included in participating in that able-bodied girls tennis team. So I was playing on that team and competing then regionally and around the country for wheelchair tennis specifically. And when I was a junior, I was started being recruited by University of Arizona. I thought for sure I was going there, only a 6-hour drive from San Diego. And then the coach at University of Alabama saw me at a tournament, and he began to recruit me. So on a whim, we kind of went out, took a tour, and I fell in love with the university. I fell in love with the community out there, and I fell in love with the mission of Alabama Adapted Athletics. So I spent 6 years of my career, then starting in 2016 at University of Alabama playing wheelchair tennis for them. I started competing at an international level in the open division, so the highest level of wheelchair tennis, and received multiple titles for singles and doubles. My career high ranking for singles was 46 in the world. For doubles, it was 48 in the world. And so that was just a great experience. I was also a developmental player on our USA wheelchair tennis team for 6 years. And then I was a 5-time national team champion with University of Alabama. So needless to say, that journey up to that collegiate experience and that collegiate experience as a whole was just so amazing. And then everything that I learned in that time, every individual that stood up and advocated for me, every speaking engagement while I was an athlete there, every community outreach event, every competition, every mental battle that I had going on the field led me and got me to where I am today. And today I'm now the coordinator of fitness at Ability 360, which is just over there off of East Washington over by the airport there. But we are a nonprofit for individuals with disabilities. We provide services to individuals with disabilities and their families to promote overall independence and well-being for their lives. So essentially I'm involved on the fitness side there, although we do many other things, advocacy services, information and referrals. So Ability 360 kind of now is my home base here in Phoenix. And I did move to Phoenix in 2023, so still learning all the things, but I'm very, very fortunate to be here. And really, I guess I just would love to shine some light on collegiate adapted athletics, and that one, since the time that I started, it has grown immensely. Our first college nationals had just a few teams, and then by the end of my career, we had 16 wheelchair tennis teams. So 16 different universities that were represented that had wheelchair tennis teams. And I like to call out, obviously tennis is my love and my passion, but obviously there's other opportunities as well. So there's track and field, there's wheelchair basketball, as many people know now. There's swimming, so there's lots and lots of different opportunities for kids that are growing up to be have the opportunity to go to school, but doing something that they love, and that is sport. And aside from the game of tennis, there were so many things, so many experiences that I had while I was an athlete that shaped me into the human that I am today. Different challenges of pain and long days, being on the court, having to come home and still do work on my master's thesis, so it was, such a mental battle, days that I had to fight through and things like that. Everyone goes through challenges in life. I think that people with disabilities, we're no exception, but sometimes we have just a few more challenges throughout the day, but it builds endurance, it builds stamina, it builds resiliency to adversity. And so that essentially has kind of given me the spirit that I have today. But it was really the community that got me to that point, my team, my coaches, my parents. And I know we talk about here, like the role that parents have from a very, very young age. My parents were encouraging me to be independent and do things on my own. My dad had me doing my laundry when I was very young. He said, "You are no exception, go fold your clothes." And so it's little things like that encourage the independence to, especially for people with disabilities, that sometimes they can be given not an out, but just, an easier way to say no to things that really could be building resiliency and independence. And so aside from sports, there's just so many things, the speaking engagements and just all the different opportunities to grow as an individual, that now, where I'm at now, I can take what I've learned and the opportunities that I've been given to give back to the community and to Ability 360. So thank you so much for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. If I may, I know that you are not the only one that would love to have your questions answered by this incredible woman. How many other people are saying, you know what, I would love to know, Just put your hands up. Don't be shy. All right, your time is coming. 2 hands up, I love it. All right, here's the thing. Denise has told me that we are going to do thus and so, and she says it very sweetly, of course, but she don't play. We're going to have a Q&A at the end, all right? After every person has had their opportunity to share their gifts, their stories, their superior connection to sports with you, then we'll all have a quick Q&A. Is that fair? Yes. Go like this, yes. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I know I have questions for you too, but I'm going to hold mine back. Okay, our next speaker, A.C. Caswell. Am I saying the name? A.C. Caswell. He is a man about empowering dreams for philanthropy and leadership. He's an entrepreneur and the co-founder and CEO, I love this name, the $1 Million Mingle. Yes, he's a former NFL player who has spent 5 seasons near where I spent some time, Oakland, on the Oakland Raiders. And he credits the influential support of his remarkable mother and organizations that helped him, who supported him in his journey through his formative years. Like I said, he's a passionate philanthropist and serial entrepreneurs. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it. Oh, and I'm going to tell you, he is one of the ones who gave me a 5-page bio. So.
I didn't send it, but PR.
All right, well, thank them for me. I loved it. I loved it. And I know you've got some nuggets for us for today. So let's give him a hand.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, I want to say it's such an honor, Denise. Thank you so much for all that you do. If you guys know her story, man, being an athlete, seeing you guys work so hard to bring the Cardinals here, and I remember coming to living here, but playing for the Raiders. And man, when we played in Sun Devil Stadium, and it was 120 degrees, and it was hot, and I was like, "Will somebody please get an indoor stadium?" Not for me, just to come and play, but. So thank you for being such an integral part. Such an honor to be up here with these amazing women. I feel special to be I've got a couple of guys here too, but to sit up here with you guys is an honor. I won't keep you for too long, but I love the name Unstoppable. And I think after you hear a little bit of my story, I won't go into the deep part of it, but it was a tough lifestyle, and I'm very humble. I believe that I was called on a journey to be very transparent, to be very real. I grew up in a part of town called South Central Los Angeles. I'm sure we've probably all heard of that. When I talk to the kids in school, I say, "Have you guys ever heard of South Central Los Angeles?" They say, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, what do you know about South Central LA?" Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, gangs, violence, drugs, boys. All those things are true, but I tell them that was my lifestyle. I grew up in South Central LA. I had a very hard lifestyle, very dark, hard lifestyle, and I'm not afraid to say that. I didn't have a father in my life. I had a lot of bad people around me, gangs, drugs, violence. I was a true product of my environment, hands down, right? But also loved sports. I knew that God gave me a gift, to play sports. I didn't realize how talented I was at that time, but I knew that can be a way out for me. But growing up in that area, man, it was so hard. It was so tough. The bad decisions, the peer pressure, the gangs, the violence. And I looked at my lifestyle and said, "Man, is this it?" And I had a lot of people in my life who was going to tell me that, there's only a couple of directions for you. It's either prison, death, or just selling drugs. That's all you're going to be, a gangbanger. You're never going to be nothing in life, so you might as well own up to your environment. And something inside of me said, no, that's not going to work for me. I believe that I have greatness in me. I have a purpose, like you said, unstoppable. I'm going to be unstoppable during my journey. I'm not going to buy into what you guys are telling me that I should become just because I'm from a town called South Central LA. There's a lot of amazing people that came out of South Central LA. If you know your history, actors, movie stars, professional athletes, businessmen and women. So with that being said, I owned who I was. I said, yes, I'm from South Central LA, California, but you know what? I'm also show you what I'm going to become. So, with that being said, I had a lot of amazing teachers around me, a lot of amazing nonprofits that believed in me, that took my brother and I, and they gave us a vehicle and an opportunity. So that's where my charity comes from. At a young age, looking at these nonprofits that took care of us, looking at these nonprofits that signed us up for sports when we didn't have money, fed us when we didn't have food to eat, even clothed us when we didn't have enough clothes to go to school. So that's where that philanthropy come from, was, wow, man, look at these organizations who believed in me when I didn't believe in me. So with that being said, as I'm taking this journey as an athlete now, and thank you for your story, because I believe that I'm a little bit hard on athletes, especially professional athletes. I believe, guys, that we were built to sustain anything. We've gone through it all. From trials and tribulations, losses, wins, the fans booing at you, where you can't quit and give up. Coaches telling you that you're no good. I mean, we athletes, we've gone through some things that a lot of people, you just can't experience that, right? The adversity, the trials, and it builds you to a point where you say, you know what? I gotta survive. I gotta become unstoppable. And that was me. I owned up to that. So as I took this journey through high school, going to junior college, came right out of Glendale Community College and turned pro right out of junior college, okay, football and track. Did you? Thank you. Go Gauchos, right? But as I'm going through this journey, now I'm getting into the NFL. Now I'm running around some amazing billionaires and millionaires. The owner of our team is Mr. Al Davis, God rest his soul. He became a major mentor in my life. I mean, major mentor in my life. He believed in me. He saw something in me that I didn't even see. And when he signed me to the Raiders to play in the NFL, he said, you're going to be a Raider for life, but I see something more in you than just football. He said, I see greatness in you. He said, let me teach you business. Let me show you how to become an entrepreneur. Don't just rely on football. Put yourself in a position where you're meeting all these amazing people and friends of mine. Do something about it. Create a vehicle. So that's where my mindset started changing. Like, okay, this is not about football, but it's also about the platform that I've been given. Now, if I can use this platform to meet these amazing people, to create businesses and vehicles to where now we can come in and network and collaborate together. And that's where the $1 Million Mingle came in. So that way, I figured if we create this high-profile vehicle, how can we start raising money for nonprofits? How can we start giving back and serving and letting people see the good work that we're doing? And that's what this is about, guys. That's why when you said Unstoppable, I was like, ooh, that's a powerful name. Because we all have stories. We all have roadblocks and situations. But I guarantee you guys that we all have greatness in us. We all have greatness in us. Your greatness may be not my greatness, and vice versa, but we have greatness in us. And I had to tell myself that. I said, I'm not gonna let anybody stop me. Even when I got into sports, when they said, oh, you'll never make it, you came right out of a junior college, you'll never make it to the NFL. You'll never make it to the Olympics. I went to the Olympics for track and field. A lot of people might not know that, but I did. And you know why I did? Because when I was growing up, so if you guys know anything about sports, I am the original cheetah. Okay, there's an athlete out there called Tyreek Hill. No. When I was a little kid, my mom said, you're such a cheetah, because I beat everybody. I used to run. Guys, let me tell you this. That was my hustle. Growing up in LA, I beat people for money. I did. That was my hustle. I wasn't selling drugs. I was challenging people in a race. That's how I made money. And my mom said, you're such a cheetah. So I'm the original cheetah, okay? But with that being said, as I went down this journey, I saw my greatness and I owned up to it. I didn't care who got mad, who was jealous. Guys, to become great, you got to separate yourself, okay? We all have greatness, not success, great. When I made it to the NFL, I preach on something called success versus greatness. And let me know when I have a couple of minutes. Just give me my countdown, okay? But I preach on something called success versus greatness, 2 different levels. Okay, coming out of poverty, when I made it to the NFL, I was successful. I paid my bills, I took care of my mom, bought her a house, I gave back to my community. I'm successful. But something in me was still urging me to greatness. I want greatness. And when I said that and I started positioning myself to become unstoppable and to become great, guys, it hurts. I had to close the door on people. I had to walk away from things. I had to become more disciplined, more focused. My mindset changed. Not saying that I want to leave people behind, but to get to the journey that God was calling me, I had to become great, to become more successful to the community. You understand what I'm saying? I have a saying about $1 Million Mingle. We don't raise millions of dollars for charity by doing $2 events. That's not what I do. We do high-profile things to be able to reach our goals to serve and give back, right? Same in business, same as an entrepreneur. So I'm blessed to be for you today. Thank you for giving me the platform, but I'll leave you with this. Success versus greatness. There's a gentleman in here, he might get mad when I say this, but he reminds me of Al Davis. That's Mr. Al Molina. Love this guy, okay? A mentor, great guy, pillar of success, okay? Health now, thank you for that. Being very healthy. But guys, let me just leave you with this, and I can't wait to hear you, Derrick, okay? I want everybody to do me a favor, okay? All raise your hand up. I want everybody to now just hold your thumb up, okay? And if you don't have a thumb, raise your toe up, okay? Think about this, guys. When I say success versus greatness, and I say we all have greatness, think about how powerful this is. There's people all over the world who look like us, may smell like us, talk like us, act like us. You might have a twin. You might have a triplet. You might have a brother who was 1 year older or younger than you. Here's the thing about greatness. Everybody has their own thumbprint. Does that make sense? We have our own signature thumbprint in life for you to stamp it on life. You be great in where you're going to be great at. Your greatness is not her greatness. We all have our own fingerprint of greatness. So I'll leave that with you today. Don't be afraid to strive for greatness. Leave your mark on life like I'm doing. Don't be afraid. Don't be embarrassed. And guys, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Oh, awesome. You spoke to me. You absolutely spoke to me. And I don't often share this, but there were times when I was homeless, and my mother lived one place, I lived somewhere else, and she told me something. She said, Joelle, you are going to go to college. And then she said to me, and you can be the president. So, of course, I'm the president of 3 companies. Oh, my. Was that not inspiring? Not inspiring. That was absolutely inspiring. Our next speaker, I have to give myself permission to call you by your rightful name, Dr. Kenja Hassan. She is here. She's going to bring a little bit of her own story to life, and there is so much going on at Arizona State University. I'm just going to stop right there. I want her to have as much time as she can take, because what that university and what this woman who is in our community as a leader, as a spiritual leader, truthfully, to so many, I want you to hear her story. So you can read her bio on the ASU website, but please give it up for this woman who is amazing, an amazing pillar of our community, for youth and for sports. Kenja Hassan.
So thank you, Joelle, and thank you, Denise, for inviting me. I'm the one in the group to help all the non-athletes feel more comfortable. I am not an athlete. When I was a kid, I grew up in Washington, D.C., where sports are of paramount importance in an all-Black community. And I was one of the kids that was like the second to last one that was picked, for the kickball team, because I was generally afraid of balls and generally not very well coordinated, but I could run pretty fast, right? So second to last person picked. So I didn't play sports through elementary school or through junior high school. I was one of the nerdy kids that got picked on, especially in junior high school, because kids in junior high are really mean. That's that age where we're really terrible. Made it through high school without playing any sports. Got to Princeton University for my undergraduate. And junior year, I'm approaching junior year. And junior year, I said, you know what? I'm about to, finish my formal schooling years, and I've never played an organized sport, and I don't want to, transition into adulthood without having ever played an organized sport. So I'm gonna go find an intramural sport to play. Fall of junior year, mind you, never played an organized sport before, because games have rules. And I'm not always good at remembering what the rules are when you play a game. So I went out looking for a team that would want me. And one team decided, yeah, we'll take you, come on in. It was the women's rugby team.
Oh, cool.
And so I went from never playing anything, and now mind you, I learned that there's a reason why women's rugby teams are heavy recruiters, because you need a lot of players when you got a sport that, if you're not a real good thinking person, and a coordinated thinking person altogether, which I already told you I wasn't. You need a lot of players to play rugby. So, plus the rugby team was a highly social team. So I saw them having a really good time. Those ladies loved to party, and being somewhat picked on as a younger kid to join a sports team of really powerful women who liked to party and who had these big boisterous personalities, and they wanted me and they pulled me in, and I was like, okay, great. So we practiced a lot. Again, I had never played so I never had that rigid schedule of showing up to practice X amount of times a week, and that rigidity of movement, of ongoing movement. So I loved going to practice. I loved doing the scrimmages. And then, the first game, coach didn't put me in, and so I got to cheer my team on from the side. Yay, go team! Second game, coach didn't put me in. Yay, go team! This is going really well. I'm practicing. I'm getting all kinds of physical fitness. I'm partying with the team on Thursdays, and then we drive to Montreal, Canada. So we take this trip to Montreal, Canada for a tournament. And Montreal is cold by this time. It was like November. And we're in this game. This game is going along, and one of our star players is injured. So the coach is like, okay, you have to go in. And I'm like, oh, it's my first game. So it had been snowing. the field had a couple of games already played on it already before us. So what was a field was about 4 inches of mud with a layer of ice over it. And they're like, remember, Kenji, your position is a wing. So I don't know if you know rugby, but the person on the wing is the end. And they're like, just remember, when you get the ball, run as fast as you can in the correct direction. Because like I said, remembering all the rules for rugby were really hard for me. So like, just run. So I'm in the game. The ball comes my way. I grab the ball. 4 inches of mud, and I'm going as fast as I can in the right direction. And there's this wall of women, these big Canadian women in front of me. And to be honest, I don't remember what happened next. All I know is that I was covered in mud, they were covered in mud, and I come out of this thing and I'm still hugging this ball like, oh wow, I made it. I don't even remember if we won or lost that game. So we make it back to school just fine. They send me to the next tournament. That was in Virginia. And what I learned about rugby women elsewhere outside of my school is that they do not play by the rules. So that was the second time I got put in a game. They put me in a couple more games. I make it through the whole season. I come out with all my teeth, my ears, no major injuries, and I decided that that was probably good, that I should count that as success. And I didn't go back the next year, so to the disappointment of my team, because they actually really enjoyed having me on because I was the biggest cheerleader. Every time they didn't put me in a game, I was like, yay, go team! But I learned a few things, a few very important things from my one moment of playing an organized sport, and that is the incredible benefit of mental health for being in that high level of intense physical activity. So I've always struggled with depression a lot. And junior year in college was a really hard year, following sophomore year, which was a pretty hard year. And that year, that intense focus on physical activity and that intense social interaction in a way that's focused on building a team towards a group goal were incredibly helpful that particular year in helping move me out of a depressed state that I had been in. And it gives me something to rely on as I gotten older, and that is, when I'm facing another wave of depression, that intense physical activity, putting myself into intense physical activity is a way out of it. Now it gets harder as you get older because now my knees are arthritic and things happen, but I like to remind people that getting out and moving is a really good way of lifting your spirits up, and then forcing yourself to socialize is another way of pulling yourself out of doldrums and getting yourself out of the deep negative thoughts that can come when you're not moving around. And then also stepping into something that's really outside of your comfort zone. So for me, learning a sport at that age and having had no experience playing a sport was way far out of my comfort zone. So even though I only made it 1 year, having the ability to know I could step that far out of my comfort zone and be okay gave me confidence to rely on in other situations in life. So fast forward, I'm going to segue to Arizona State University because that's one of the big reasons why I'm here. I get to represent this amazing organization called ASU. When I arrived at ASU 29 years ago, a lot of the athletes that I engaged with, who were, let's say, mostly black men on football, basketball teams, and alumni, had this feeling that in some situations, being a college athlete was somewhat, usurious isn't the right word, but it was like being, for some people, their memory of having played a collegiate sport was like being used to advance that sport at that university without necessarily getting everything that they needed to succeed in life after college. And I will say with 100% confidence that my last 25 years at Arizona State University as a full-time employee, I have seen substantial change in the way the university thinks about its athletes and how they are developed to grow and succeed in life. And I'm actually really envious of the experience that the athletes have now. So we have now at ASU a whole office of student athlete development, and that office of multiple staff is completely dedicated to ensuring the academic and individual social successes of our students. And so when about 20 plus years ago, 2005, ASU's graduation rate was much lower overall, and our athlete graduation rate was around 70% in, say, 2005. Today, in 2026, our athletes' graduation rates are 93%, and it's amazing. They have an average GPA of 3.45. About 55% of them are on the dean's list. And this is all this complete wraparound support that the Division I athletes have at ASU. There's a dedicated building, so I have some colleagues at ASU who have invited me in to tour the building that the student athletes get to use. And they can spend much of their time there getting fitness opportunities, nutrition, academic counseling, very specific guidance when they come in their first year to understand what their risk assessments might be. So what are the courses that they might have difficulty in, and how can they be scaffolded at the beginning to be successful? And they have something called Championship Life, where the students are coached on all the things that they need to think about in order to be successful in life. So there's some NCAA required programs like understanding sexual assault and substance abuse, et cetera. But then there's also understanding financial literacy, understanding your own mental health trajectory, thinking about your career path after college. And they intensify those conversations when it's pretty clear that a student athlete is not going to become a professional. And they may have had their heart set on being a professional. It's like, okay, we know this isn't the path for you. How are we going to get you into a path that makes sense for your career future? So while I might have been rather skeptical of the way student athletes were treated when I arrived at ASU some 29 years ago, I've seen my coworkers, people that are friends, that are colleagues, really put this incredible program together where there are such life metrics set up for students that I feel like if your kid has the ability to be an athlete, that segueing them into a university like ASU gives them a whole nother layer of scaffolding for their own success. The ASU Sun Devil Athletics entity has 600 students so there's about 600 Division I athletes that play at ASU, and they have 200 dedicated staff. So that's a ratio of 3 staff to 1 student. The rest of the university, the ratio is like 18 students per 1 staff person. So these students have this incredible life opportunity. So if your kid is an athlete and they are Division I caliber and you are thinking about ASU, it's a great opportunity. So thank you for giving me a chance to both share my background with sports and then the university that I'm always pleased to represent.
Awesome. That was inspiring in a different way, because I could tell the joy that you had talking about your non-athletic abilities. And seriously though, you create a space. You create a space with your response to that query. You created a space for young people. I wish I were young again. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, Michael Hingson is our next speaker, and he is an internationally recognized author and speaker known for his extraordinary story of resilience, conquering fear, being a leader, and his incredible September the 11th survival story. From the day he first received his first guide dog at 14 years old, he's been developing and fostering skills in leadership, trust, teamwork, adaptation, and more. All skills which he has been able to apply to the corporate world, to technology, and as I said, as a professional speaker for 19 years. Please let him hear the loud applause that you're going to give him as he prepares to speak. Michael Hingson. Thank you.
Well, hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be able to sort of be there with you. I'm sorry we can't be there in person, but things happen. So this is our opportunity to test the viability of technology in the world. And if it doesn't work really well, then, yell at Thomas Edison or whoever you choose. But I'm glad we're able to be here and be a part of this. My story is interesting, I guess, at least to me anyway. It really starts when I was born. I was born sighted, but I was born 2 months premature and put in an incubator. And although at the time medical science was starting to learn that when you put a premature baby in an incubator and you give it a pure oxygen environment, that could cause blindness, most doctors weren't ready to believe that too much oxygen might not be a good thing. So the bottom line is that within a couple of hours, or at least a few hours of the time that I was born, I became blind because the retina didn't develop properly. We didn't discover that until I was about 4 months old. But when it was discovered, the doctors told my parents to send me to a home for, as they put it, handicapped children, because no blind child would ever be able to grow up to be any kind of a contributor to society, and I would just be a drain on the family. And my parents said, no, you're wrong. He can grow up to do whatever he wants to do, so he's blind. So what? We're going to give him that opportunity. And I was brought up with that kind of attitude. So back in the 1950s and 60s, we didn't have, of course, a lot of the technology that we do today, so things were a little bit more of a challenge. When I was 4 years old in Chicago, where I was born, I went to kindergarten, and they had a special kindergarten class for blind kids. And so I was able to learn some things, like I learned Braille, and some other skills. But after kindergarten, we moved to California because my father got a job out here, and yes, I'm calling from California. In any case, we moved out here, and I went to a school where they didn't have any of the classes or tools or whatever to deal with a blind child. So the other part about it was that in California, kindergarten starts at 5, so they wouldn't let me go into first grade. I had to take a second year of kindergarten, where I really didn't get to do a lot. I didn't get to do a lot in the first, second, and third grade because I didn't have some of the opportunities that sighted kids did. However, at the same time, I used alternative ways of doing the same thing. So for example, when I was in first, second, and third grade, not being able to write information down on paper, not able to read books because the books weren't made available, what happened was that my parents helped me with all of that. So for example, when I started doing math, before I really had access to Braille books and so on, my father taught me how to do math. And I learned to do math in my head, and I actually was doing algebra by the time I was 6. And my mother helped me with other things. So I was able to keep up with the classes pretty much because they read material to me and taught me things and so on. But even so, I didn't have some of the access, obviously, that other kids had. By the time we got to the 4th grade, a resource teacher was brought into the school district to help blind kids, and then I started getting books and other material again. And the result of all that was that I was able to get back into truly being a participant in class. When I went into high school, we felt that I needed a little bit of additional kind of help and support. And we applied to Guide Dogs for the Blind, and I was able to get a guide dog. They decided I was probably responsible enough at 14 to do that. And I got a guide dog. But you need to understand, and it's important to be aware of what a guide dog is and what a guide dog isn't. And it's something that I learned as I went along. Guide dogs don't lead blind people. Guide dogs aren't the brains of the organization. Guide dogs don't know where to go and how to get there. And I don't want my guide dog to know any of that. That's not the dog's job. The dog's job is to make sure that we walk safely, so I don't walk off a cliff or off a curb or fall downstairs or anything else. But I'm the one, as the team leader, that needs to tell the dog where I want the dog to go. So back in the time when I was growing up, we didn't have GPS. We didn't have a lot of the things that we do today that make that easier. So I had to do a lot of preparation in advance when I was going to go somewhere to be able to travel. But I learned how to do that. I also, when I was in junior high school and in high school, I joined the Boy Scouts. I became an Eagle Scout in the Boy Scouts. I also became Vigil in the Order of the Arrow, which is the highest rank in the honor society that goes along with Boy Scouting. And I was always interested in science because my dad was very much involved in electronics and electrical engineering and so on. So he and I got our ham radio licenses at the same time. That was also fun. And I was interested in science, and so I wanted to go to a school. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to learn more about science. And in high school, I had been very involved with the physics class. I was even put in the senior physics class in my last quarter of my freshman year because they were studying electricity and magnetism that I was very interested in. And my general science teacher realized I was pretty bored with what they were doing. So they put me in the physical science class, the physics class with Mr. McGregor, which was, as I said, a senior class. Anyway, I also started looking at colleges and ended up going to the University of California at Irvine. And one of the things that we did was between my junior and senior year in high school, we went down and met with the chairman of the physics department, Dr. Ken Ford. And after talking physics for a while, we decided, and he especially encouraged me to apply, and I did, and I was accepted. And so I went down to UC Irvine and stayed there long enough to get a bachelor's degree in physics, a master's degree in physics, and a secondary teaching credential. So as I love to tell people, like Doc Brown from Back to the Future, I know how to build a bomb, but the difference between me and Doc Brown is I'm not about to go off and try to find a terrorist to get fissionable material. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to go to the right source, but and I wasn't driving a DeLorean either. But anyway, I did learn a lot about physics, and I was also facing as we got close to the end of getting master's degrees and so on, I was facing the issue of what I'm going to do for work. Well, a job came along through the National Federation of the Blind, which is the largest consumer organization of blind people. And the job was to help the Federation and Ray Kurzweil. Some of you may have heard of him. He's a futurist and inventor and so on. And the major first invention that he made was Omnifont optical character recognition. That is the ability to have a computer look at a printed page, and it was done a whole lot different back then than now, but look at a printed page or a typed page or a page with print and typing on it, proportional and unit width spaced, and recognize all the characters without special programming for each type style. And so the job that I was offered was to direct a project where we put several of these machines around the country. And literally my job was to go to the places, install machines, teach people to use the machines, teach trainers how to train people to use the machines, fix machines when they broke, and do all of that from 1976 through the middle of 1978 when the project was to end. And I did that. I traveled literally all over the country, just me and my second guide dog, Holland. My first guide dog went through high school and college with me through my first year of graduate school, and then Squire retired and Holland came along. But I learned a lot from those dogs about teamwork and trust, working together. But I also recognized, although it took a while to truly intellectually understand it, that I was to be the team leader of the team. And the dogs were interested in developing a trusting relationship. Difference between dogs and people is people tend to be very skeptical of having any kind of trusting relationship, especially today. Our politicians don't help with that. So many people don't help with that. We're not open to trust. Dogs, on the other hand, are open to trust by and large, unless they're just totally abused by someone. They're not necessarily going to trust right off, but they're open to trust. And so I have to earn their trust, and I figured that out. And I also knew that they had to earn my trust. And so that was one of the ways that I learned a lot about trust and teamwork and so on. Well, anyway, the bottom line is I did the National Federation of the Blind Kurzweil job and then took on other duties as time went on. And eventually I worked for Kurzweil, but then the company was bought by Xerox. My job and the sales jobs of all the other people selling the major commercial version of the machine went away because Xerox didn't want people. They just wanted the machine. Always a bad move, but that's what they did. They didn't want to keep the tribal knowledge. So I had to find a job in 1984. And by that time I had gotten married. I married a lady named Karen Ashurst. Karen was in a wheelchair her whole life. People said, how could you marry a person in a wheelchair? And my response was real simple. She reads, I push. and did. And she steered the chair, but I pushed it. Anyway, so I couldn't find a job because the unemployment rate back then, and still somewhat today, is close to 70, that's 70%. And the issue is not that I can't work, not that blind people can't work, not that people with disabilities can't work, but people who don't seem to have these disabilities think we can't work, and so we're never given the opportunity. So eventually I had to start my own company just to get a job. And then eventually I went back into the workforce, and bottom line is eventually I ended up in the New York City area. I lived in New Jersey. Karen and I moved to New Jersey in 1996. I was hired in 1999 by a company to open an office for them. We opened it on the 78th floor of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center. By that time, I had gotten my 5th guide dog, Roselle. And on September 11th, we were going to be teaching some of our reseller partners how to sell our products when, of course, everything happened that happened on September 11th. And I was in my office. We had some early arrivals. We got them to the stairs and started them down. Then I and a colleague from our corporate office who was back to help with the seminars, David Frank, and I and Roselle went to the stairs and we started down. We didn't know what happened. People say to me all the time, well, of course you didn't know what happened because you couldn't see it. You know, if I could, I'd punch everybody in the mouth who says that to me, but I'm too nice of a guy. The reality is no one knew. We were on the south side of the building on the 78th floor, and the plane hit on the north side between floors 93 and 99. And the last time I checked, Superman and X-ray vision are fiction. The bottom line is no one knew. And there's a lot of evidence to show that. People kept trying to figure out what was going on. As we were going down the stairs, I eventually figured out I was smelling something, and it was familiar, and it turned out to be the fumes from burning jet fuel, but we didn't know what the details were. Anyway, we did make it out because I spent a lot of time preparing. As the leader of the office that I worked in, as the person who opened it, was in charge of it, I needed to do what any other person who was the leader of an office would do. So I knew where all the restaurants were. I knew the emergency evacuation procedures. I knew where various offices were where we might go and be involved in selling and so on. And I had to know all of that because as the leader of the office, I wasn't going to rely on reading signs and didn't have that luxury. And I would hope wouldn't anyway, because I believe that it's about knowledge. You can talk about reading signs that are going to tell you where the emergency exits are, and that works until you can't read them because you're in a smoke-filled area or something like that. So the bottom line is that I was able to learn all that material. And so when the plane hit the building, a mindset kicked in, and I was able to function and focus and keep other people focused. And we eventually made it out of the building. Then the media got the story, and various people started calling also to say, we'd love you to come and talk to us about the lessons we should learn from September 11th and so on. And the bottom line of all that was that by the beginning of 2002, my wife Karen and I decided that public speaking and selling life and philosophy was a whole lot more rewarding and satisfying and fun than selling computer hardware and being the leader of a computer hardware sales team. So I switched to public speaking. And I've been doing it ever since. And I've continued to learn and grow. So, for example, one of the things I discovered over the last couple of years is something I think that everyone here should know. In 2023, I was at a hotel in Los Angeles, California, with a niece and a nephew. We were walking from the third floor down to the first floor, and all of a sudden I heard screaming. It's 3 in the afternoon, and I asked my niece, "What's going on?" And she said, "Oh, we just lost power in the hotel and around the hotel." She could see all the way down to the first floor. We were coming down a main stairwell. And what I realized is, it's 3 in the afternoon. Why is anybody screaming just because they don't have all the lights that they're normally used to? And I realized from that in reality, we need to change our definition of the term disability. My diversity friends tell me that disability is appropriate because it starts with dis, because it's a lack of ability. And my response, if I could punch people in the mouth again, I would, but I'm a nice guy, right? Disability is not a lack of ability. If we're going to say it begins with dis, then what do we do about discern, disciple, discrete, and other things like that? Is discrete a lack of crete? Is disciple a lack of Eiffel? No, the reality is dis is not the issue. And the fact of the matter is, every single person on this planet has a disability. For most of all y'all, that's what they say in Texas, for most of you, the bottom line is, your disability is your light dependent. If the lights go out and you don't have a smartphone or a flashlight, you're in a world of hurt. Doesn't bother me a bit. The reality is we all have challenges, and we need to start to recognize that disability is not a lack of ability. It's a characteristic that we all have. It manifests itself differently for different people. But the fact of the matter is we all have something that makes us different, and we shouldn't be judging other people just because we're different or appear different than they, or they shouldn't judge us because we look different or they look different, and the majority of you have eyesight. So what? It's not the only game in town. And we need to recognize that eyesight isn't the issue. It's our attitudes and how we deal with people that's the real issue. And so I've been talking about that a lot over, especially the last 24 years as a keynote speaker, and having a lot of fun doing it, and literally traveling all over the world with guide dogs and speaking and doing the things that we're doing today. So I guess I will stop there and we'll go on.
Thank you, Michael. All right, let's give him a big hand. We're now going to go into the Q&A part. Michael, can you hear me okay?
What?
This is Joelle.
Someone taught me how to do that years ago. It took me a while to catch on, but yeah.
I'm going to ask you my first question, and then I'm going to open it up to our guests to ask questions of any of the panelists. I know you had one you wanted to ask Lauren. So we'll do this. Denise, how much time can we have for our Q&A? 10 minutes? Okay. And then we have...
Well, there's always somebody who puts limits on you, aren't there? Okay, anyway.
Yes, Denise is doing a great job. We have 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask you a very, very quick question, and it has to do with mindset. When anyone is faced with circumstances that are not unstoppable or that creates fear for them, what's the one or two words you would give them to conquer fear?
Practice learning to control fear. The reality is fear is something that we can learn to control. I'm not going to say don't be afraid. I mean, I was worried going down the stairs on September 11th, but I knew what to do, and I also knew how to separate knowing what to do from worry. You know, all the way down the stairs, I kept listening for the building to creak and groan, you know, and if it had fallen down and smushed me, it would have done that, but it didn't. But the reality is we can learn to control fear. And I began writing a book in 2020 about that, and it changed a little bit, but it talks a lot about controlling fear. It's called Live Like a Guide Dog. And the book is about the lessons that I learned about teamwork and trust and fear and so on from 8 guide dogs and my wife's service dog, Fantasia. The fact of the matter is, don't worry about what you can't control. Focus on what you can.
Right.
We worry about everything under the sun. We what if everything to death. And the reality is 95% of what we what if is something that we don't have any control over. Why worry about it?
Thank
We can
you.
learn not to.
Thank you, Michael. That was wonderful. Yeah, learn to control fear. All right, now we have a few more minutes. Questions for the other panelists, please.
My name is Rutherford Pascal. My question is the adaptive tennis. Is that in the Paralympics? Is that a sport in the Paralympics? And if it is, did you try out?
Yeah, so right now, the state of wheelchair and adapted tennis is kind of going through a shift of name. Technically, adaptive tennis is, standing tennis maybe for individuals that experience limb loss or limb difference, or experience a cognitive disability in some way, intellectual disability in some way. Wheelchair tennis is specifically played in wheelchair. So wheelchair tennis is in the Paralympics, yes. Adaptive tennis and those that experience, cognitive disability or intellectual disability, they might do tennis like in the Special Olympics. And so I know that's a little bit more with the Special Olympics, whereas wheelchair tennis is more with the Paralympics. The answer to your question on if I have tried out for that, I did have a run, when I was going through college. Ultimately, it got to the point where once I was out of college, unless I was going to fully commit to that path, which would have required lots of financial support that, I would have had to be working full time. I would have had to commit fully to that path in order to get to that point. However, I did spend multiple years on the U.S. Developmental team kind of in pursuit of that. I just didn't quite make it to the point with the timeline of my life and when I was, finishing up school and things like that for that to work out. And so I think now my mission more is giving back in the world of wheelchair tennis, where I can with what the experience that I've had as a player. So thank you.
Good morning. All of you were fabulous. I have a question for the panel, including Dr. Martin, if you'd like to answer it. Anybody?
Could you share your name first?
Oh, my name is Vivian Phillips, and I'm the CEO of People Empowered Worldwide.
Great, thank you.
My question is, what was the most difficult thing you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Who would like to go first on that one? The most difficult thing you've had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Well, she handed me the microphone, so I guess I'll work on the question. So, okay, one of my friends who does a leadership course always talks about, stay in your lane. It's not about you in competition with all of them. It's about you and you. The fight is about you and you. And so for me, I feel like, as I mentioned earlier, like I struggle with depression, anxiety a lot. I know that there's medication out there, and I know that it's there for me if I absolutely am heading off a cliff. But the other days, I'm like, how do I unthink the negative thought that I just thought that was keeping me from doing the next thing that I need to do to get through the day? So I feel like every single day, every minute, every hour is me overcoming me and just moving to the next thing that I got to do, the next thing I got to do. And I feel like, for Denise and Joelle and people who've known me for a lot of years, they probably don't know that this side exists in my head, that every single minute of every single day I'm going through this little internal battle to keep doing the job that I do and have the life that I have. So I feel like it's sort of this day-to-day thing for me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, no, great question. For me, it's definitely, not buying into the negative stigma that you're not going to make it out. All you're going to be is this. And it was a mindset thing, and that's why I tell, your mind is everything. You have to self-train your mind to let you know that you can be great, you can be successful. So for me, I think that was the biggest thing growing up in my environment, not becoming a product of my environment, not accepting that I have to become a product of my environment, and that, it's okay, right? It's so, the peer pressure when people say that, hey, this is all you're going to be, look what's in front of you. And for me, it was like, nope, not accepting that. So for me, that's what it was for me.
That is a great question, and I'm hearing a common theme here of the power of your mind and your mindset. And for me personally, throughout my career, that's something that I struggled with, was my confidence on court. Tennis is such a mental game. If anyone's played competitively, you might know. But just having power over your thoughts, and again, like choosing to rewrite that narrative. I also experienced in like the end of my college career and in my master's, extreme physical pain. And so a huge part of that is the stress and the thoughts that we're thinking, and that kind of plays into that pain as well. So, but essentially, I leaned into just taking control over the thoughts that I had and over my mind. And I leaned on God a lot. My faith plays a huge role in my life, and I couldn't have gone anywhere without, just the Lord in me. But yeah, and so really it's just, I feel like building the confidence, building your mindset and your strength to get through the adversity is what helped me when I was going through those challenges.
Okay, I got a real quick one to put on that one, and that was growing up with stereotypes around me. A loving mother, but a lot of stereotypes that kept me away from my intelligence and my commitment and will to succeed. I'm just going to send you out a few things that have kept me strong, okay, that I went through a transformational leadership program to the extent that I closed my ad agency, and that's what I do now. We are not broken. That's the one thing I discovered. That is never too late to have a happy childhood. It never is too late. My father left my mother and I when I was a child, but it's never too late. If you can take the story called your life and recontext it, mindset, reformat it, and create a different story such that you go out into the world and make a difference with people, that's how you get through it. You give. You give. All right? Thank you. Michael, can you hear that?
Yeah, I would say for me, probably it was, as several people have said, dealing with the stereotypes. And it's almost like you have to do it with every single person. So I realized that I needed to truly become a teacher every single day in order to not only survive and think and grow, but to help make a difference. And so public speaking helps with that. But for me, my mindset is I need to be a teacher. And when people start to do things that are alienating me, if you will, or denying me access, and I have to work to help address those issues and try to educate people. And some people are willing to learn and some aren't.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of our Q&A. We have now, yes, Lauren, we can get the acknowledgement. But I've been looking forward to this, Denise, as I told your very, very special award recipient. This person, you'll appreciate this too, I see. He was one of our first sponsors, his organization. And Denise, take it away.
Okay, I'm going to do that. First of all, I want to give you each, we really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
And I'm a Army brat, so go Army. So everything I do is red, white, and blue. So that's all, just so you know that. But anyway, there's somebody that I wanted to recognize. There are just a lot of people here in town that sometimes they're well known, but people don't know why they're known. Okay, people don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. And I've been here 30 years now, which is hard to believe, but and that's why some of the people we say 25 years, 30 years that I've known these people. But there are just some people that I want to especially recognize this year because, like I said, there's so much negativity going on. So as I mentioned, Jerry Colangelo, we'll get to him this year. But I have a person here today that I wanted to be sure everybody knows that I've found his support to be fantastic throughout. And it's not just me. As I started to write an introduction to what we're, recognizing him for today, and when I got to page 3, I thought, well, that's enough. He belongs to just so many professional organizations. He's known internationally. His family's expertise in the jewelry business, gem business, goes back to the 1600s, right? So, and in Italy there, but he's just been a joy here for us here in Arizona. And if you haven't been to his showroom, and that's one thing, I wanted to give him something different. I'm sure he has enough plaques and all of that stuff, but if you can come up here. But it's hard to see, but I had it on the table there. But instead of just a plaque, and I have a bunch of those too on the wall and in the drawer, I had a bunch of pictures. I was looking through, and people know me, always taking pictures. So I found a bunch of pictures that I'd taken of him through the years. So I just had them made into coasters. And so I like this one in the car, but so anyway, but the thing of it is, that if you go to his showroom, they always offer you wine and champagne and right. Now I have a coaster you can put on too. So with that, I wanted to have you come up here, Al, and thank you, sweet. Say a few words.
I want to say that there's no lady better than this one, and my wife. Huh?
Hey, good catch.
No, listen. My grandfather always told me, you gotta keep going, and I love to for my wife, and she tells me what to do. By the way,
That's important.
If I'm a man, it doesn't work for me because she tells me exactly how to do, and she does a lot of things like that. I mean, she cooks this morning. I mean, and I didn't know that I was going to be here. So I don't know how you got this situation, but really, the people that were here right now, and all of us, the best we do, we can do more. And my grandfather always say, give it for the people that need it, and never in the wrong location.
Well, thank you. Thank you, sir. And Renee is on some of those plaques too. Some of those coasters and some of those coasters. And anyway, that was. Anyway, I just want to do something special for him here, and we have a great turnout. And so we're going to move on to another very special person, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot with him. You'll be seeing a lot more of him. Particularly in relationship to this building. And that's one thing I want to thank Casey and Melissa for giving us this space. What do people think? When you go out, and I'll talk a little bit before we break up, just go out and look at this. This is incredible.
Excuse us. Can we sit here with the group?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
Take a little break for us.
If there are any seats, we got a full house here. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Thanks, Lauren.
I also want to take a photo for Denise of everybody. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, it's still here.
Well,
okay. Because I know Lauren has to leave. So.
We can all get gathered pretty close like you like each other,
Oh, that. How's this?
All right, looking good, and looking up this way, and in 3, 2, make sure no blinks. Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. Take care. Taylor and London are working triple time. I'm embarrassed that they have to work this hard today. It wasn't intentional, but fantastic. I've known Taylor since she was a kid. Right? And now she has babies and all that stuff. Anyway, but I've been thrilled just to see her grow up and develop her business. You see their fun truck out front there. And if you ever need this kind of service, that's the person to go to. So there are other people I'll be thanking along the way here. But this next person coming up is going to be introduced by Rutherford. And Rutherford is the COO of World's Best Connectors. And a lot of people don't know him yet because we're doing everything on Zoom. Tell you the truth, I'm just old-fashioned. I want to get back to, I don't know, talking to people. Anyway, did people enjoy this today? Actually meeting people, right? Okay, so I'd like to see more of that happen. But with that, I guess I've known Derrick a couple of years, but I'm gonna let Rutherford do the introductions here.
All right, thank you. Thank you. I get the great pleasure to introduce our final speaker, Derrick Boles. And Denise named this Unstoppable. And I think she named it after Derrick Boles because that's his brand. That's his brand, Unstoppable. And Derrick is a global speaker, a best-selling author of 2 books, and it's just not 2 normal books. Derrick's been through a lot. So I'm not going to give everything away, but what I'll tell you is I heard Derrick speak about a year and a half ago, and he's been through multiple potential fatal events. So that's what you're going to hear about. So you're going to hear about a story of inspiration, a story of challenges, right? A story of leadership. That's what you're going to hear. And you're going to hear this story of hope, which is what is tremendous about Derrick and his story. So with that, please help me welcome Derrick Boles.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Man, how's everybody doing? Hold on, give me more energy than that, because, yeah, okay, yes, Al knows. I mean, we got to tune in right now. Yeah, we got to tune in. Thank you. Do you see his energy, though? Do you guys see that? Yes. I love it. You already know.
Yeah, I mean.
So first, I want to honor Denise. Like she said, relationships are invaluable. I'm telling you right now, they're invaluable. And soon as me and Denise connected, we were connected at a very high level. I just believe that you honor people, especially people who have already done profound things, right? I mean, she started the Black Chamber in Phoenix, for those of you who don't know. She's very powerful, she's very organized, and she's coming to really help bring people together, because that's what this is about, right? You know, we got all these things that we talk about and that we go through and our challenges, and I mean, the world is unfair. Let's just keep it 100, especially right now. Think about what we're going through right now. Like right now in this time, the world is unfair. So I want to talk about a couple things because, you know, I get fired up in so many ways on so many topics. But I want to say this because I think it's super important. You know, a lot of the stuff that people go through, we don't want to talk about because we're ashamed. Yeah. We don't want to take off our masks because we don't want to be vulnerable on what's really happening. And I want to be very vulnerable because I want people to understand, like, I'm talking about people who are going through it right now that they don't want to talk about it because they're afraid that they're going to be judged. Think about that for a second. We live in a time right now where we're judging people and we don't have the ability to judge unless God gave you something that I don't know. I'm being very serious. Like, did he give you a gift and you're the only one that got it and nobody else got exposed to it? No, I'm telling you right now, we don't have the ability to judge because we don't know what people have been through. We have no idea. So I want to give you a little bit of background. First, I grew up in Michigan. Yep. Came out in a time where in my family, there was all type of stuff going on. I'm dyslexic. People don't realize that. Sometimes I struggle to read. The other thing people don't realize is I grew up in a community where crack cocaine was running the entire community. My friends were selling crack cocaine. So I was in an environment where it could have easily went south for me. And so I want to talk about a few things that I think are super important. And the first one I'm going to talk about is mentoring. Because I don't think people want to talk about mentoring, but as you know, Renee, mentoring is important. When I was in the 5th grade, my coach, his name is Mike Garland, was at Michigan State, just retired, went and spoke to my mom. And let me tell you what the conversation went. My mom said, Derrick can't play football or basketball unless he goes to church Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Now you gotta remember, I need you to hear what I'm saying. I'm in the 5th grade. Mike Garland said, if you let him play, I'll make sure he doesn't miss church, and I'll make sure that he will continue to honor his relationship with God. And we're gonna talk about that. So, from 5th grade to my 12th grade year, I had on a tie. Okay, you already know. With a Bible, walking through one of the craziest neighborhoods, going to church, just like this, focus. I'm telling you, because, and see, people don't understand, like sometimes we don't understand. I was doing that because I didn't know what was already in store for me. So stay with me. So I end up graduating 1991. I'm gonna give you some names and you understand. I was top 25 in the state of Michigan. Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Bashawn Leonard, Howard Isley. I'm top 25. So I'm top 25 in the state, and I was getting recruited by Michigan State. Yeah, I thought I was about to be a Spartan, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out because I want to tell you the story because I think it's important. So first, I want to talk about the mentoring piece. My coach became my mentor, my father, a person of influence, and we have to do a better job of pouring into the next generation. So that's the first thing I want to leave you with. We have to do a better job of pouring into the next generation of leaders. I became top 25. The assistant coach at Michigan State, his name is Herb Williams, gets his first head coaching job at Idaho State University. I know. Stay with me on this because it makes me laugh because I didn't know. I didn't understand that I should have went to Michigan State because of Magic Johnson, Steve Smith. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff because I'm first generation everything. So stay with me. I didn't even know the process of Pell Grants, and I didn't know none of that stuff. And so it's so interesting because they came to my house. I remember like it was yesterday. The whole staff came to my house in Michigan, and I remember my mom cooked them a meal. We stood in front. Herb looked at me and said, we want to offer you a scholarship to come play at Idaho State University. I didn't care. What do you think I did? I signed. I was in the paper. People was excited. I'm like, I'm about to go. I'm about to get my schooling paid for. All those things happened. Now, I didn't realize that there are no black people in Idaho. I'm being real. I'm just keeping it 100, like it's serious. So I get out to Idaho, and there's nobody. I'm like, hold on, what's going on? I didn't realize what I had committed to. So I end up becoming a captain. We win the Big Sky 93-94, right? We had a great run. Like they hadn't won forever since 1977. We win the Big Sky. I'm having a conversation with my head coach who, remember, I'm one of the captains. And I said to him, once I get my degree, I want to get, back then it was called the CBA. You guys remember that? It was called the CBA, and I wanted to get an NBA workout because I felt like I was helping lead the team. Like, at least let me get an opportunity to be seen. I'm a captain. We done filled the arena. Like, the most fans, people loved what we were doing. And he looked me in my eyes, looked at the staff. We don't think you can do it. Ooh. Tell me that don't hurt. When I talk about trauma and I talk about stuff that you deal with, so I want you to understand what that did for me. Because I'm gonna tell my story in a second because I think it's relevant. It made me realize two things. One, the world's not fair. The other thing, I gotta be more resilient and have more focus on what I need to tune in on, right? Because I still want to play professional, right? I still had that in my mind. And I had already been told that I wasn't going to get my degree. I wasn't going to get my master's. I wasn't going to be an author. People had already told me that. So I had already done it before. And if you do it before, you can do what? You can do it again. You can do it again. So I decided to transfer, got in the best shape of my life, got my first contract to Taipei, Taiwan, a tour of Japan, 4 years in Australia, became the first head coach at Treasure Valley Community College. I got to tell you a story. They hadn't won in 25 years. We went to the Final Four. Okay, yeah, I'm giving it to you real. Now here's the other thing. Then I end up going to the NBA D-League because I had success at that level. We win the Western Division. The next year, we win the entire thing. So I've been around people who know how to find solutions, which is big. And I want to talk about that for a second. Because let's be real. We're all adults, right? Like we all, or we're pretending to be adults, right? Am I going too far? Okay, because I want you to understand, it's like, you know, our next generation are watching us. You realize that? I invited a young lady to come hear me speak because she has so much upside and I wanted her to hear my message. I spoke to her supervisor. She's sitting right over there, chilling. I told her, I want you to hear this because sometimes we limit what people are capable of doing because you put your expectations on them. If we're adults, let's be adults. Let's communicate. Let's talk about things. Let's put things that happened in the past behind us. Let's be mature enough so that we can continue to work because, again, our young people are watching and they're very intuitive and they know what's going on. So you guys got to be adults and you guys got to take the lead because every time we go through stuff, and remember, there's going to always be trauma. People gonna get on your nerves, right? Like that stuff's gonna happen. So you gotta be willing to be strong enough and say, you know what? I'm not gonna let my emotions decide how I move forward, which is big. Now, I end up continuing, and one of my good friends, he's in Australia right now, his name is Randy Livingston, played at LSU. He said, Derrick, have you ever thought about becoming a motivational speaker? He planted a seed. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, he's like, no, like when you be talking, man, we be ready. We ready to run through a wall. Like we ready to get into it. I was like that. He said, like that. You know, I'm a coach too. I got 40 years of coaching, so stay with me. So then I'm thinking, man, like my words resonate. He's like, I'm telling you, dude. So then I want to say this. I ended up getting my first contract to speak to 8th grade girls at Sage Valley Middle School. It was so profound, they brought me in and I did professional development for the entire staff. The word spread it was so profound, I started speaking for the entire state of Idaho. You with me? Man. So I was thinking, man, I guess I can step into this. I know he planted the seed. But I want to say this because I want to go full circle. So I spent all that time developing, working, understanding, trying to make sure people, felt what I was giving them because it's an exchange of energy. You know that, right? I'm talking to you right now. I'm giving you my energy. You're giving it to me back. That happens all the time. People don't realize that. It's happening all the time. So your energy is invaluable how you show up. Stay with me. I'm going to give you something else to think about. So I end up becoming one of the top speakers in the Pacific Northwest. And then my life was put on the line in multiple ways. I'm going to break it down. I was about to fly out to Scottsdale, Arizona, doing executive coaching to presidents at Food Service of America. Stay with me. I'm getting ready to get on the flight, and my nose is bleeding. So, I think I'm going to be fine. Put some ice on it. Everything's good. About 10 minutes later, still bleeding. I'm hard-headed. I think I'm going to figure it out. Right. I'm leaning back. I'm doing all this stuff because, I'm hard. I'm one of them dudes. You can already tell. And then I wake up my wife. She's like, what's going on? I said, my nose is bleeding. I can't stop the bleeding. She said, okay, just keep da-da-da. Now, I'm starting to get a little bit drowsy because I can feel I'm losing a lot of blood, okay? We drive to the hospital. I had a brain aneurysm. Bled through my nose. Came out of my nose. They went in, cauterized it inside of my brain to make sure it would stop the bleeding. And I survived to tell you this story. Wow. Hey, I'm going to talk about that. I got to give him love. I got to give God love because he's been part of it. So then I think I'm good, right? I'm like, all right, I had a brain aneurysm. Then I get cellulitis. Now, if you look at my legs, I know they ashy, but don't trip. I'm okay. I'm good. This one right here, I had cellulitis. If you get cellulitis in your bloodstream, you die. So, got everything I needed to do to try to get through that. It was not good. So then I think I'm good. Nope. I'm working out with my daughter. Her name is Jasmine Boles. 6 foot. Kahoot. She could play. I'm doing squats with her. She's doing squats. I'm doing squats. All of a sudden, I'm at the gym, and I feel like a little bit weird. So I put the weights down. My daughter took off. I had no idea where she was going. I'm getting ready to walk down the stairs. She comes up with the general manager and says, "You're having a stroke." I had 2 strokes, couldn't speak for 6 weeks. This side of my body is still numb. Nobody knows. 2017. I just keep moving because I realize our lives are so fragile. Stay with me. Then I think, that's gotta be it, Denise. That's it, right? Nothing else can happen. Nope. I end up having a defibrillator put in my chest. That's it. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. And it's so important because I started asking God questions about, okay, right. I'm having real conversations. I'm saying, okay, either are you going to take, what we doing right now? Because, I'm being serious, what's going on? And so he's like, no, there's more. There's still more. So then I have heart surgery. I'm in the hospital. They deflate my lungs. They go in. They try to cauterize my heart. They did the same thing through my groin because my heart was beating too fast. So then I'm like, man, I'm still having, now, and I'm gonna say this, I'm having real conversations with God now. Like me and God are having conversations. Like I'm like, God, so look, like I'm exhausted. Like, well, like what's going on? I remember I was so depressed and so sad that my family had left. I had a .380 gun and I put it in my mouth and I was about to kill myself. Yeah. I still get emotional talking about it because it was a hard time for me. I felt so isolated. I felt like the people who I love were gone. I felt like I wasn't bringing anything to the table. I felt like I was struggling. And as an alpha, I'm an alpha male, I'm sure you can tell, it was hurting me that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. It's hard. It was very hard. And so I thought to myself, man, I said a prayer to God, and I said, God, is this how it ends? And he said, I have so much more in store. Now, I want to talk about that because I'm very faithful. You already can tell. And I started thinking, okay. So then I end up having blood clots, and then I had COVID-19. So that's how I finished it out. I call it my Job season. I just came out of my Job season. No, I'm being serious. I just came out of my Job season. But here's the funny thing. So I started thinking, okay, unfortunately, I know that my time here is limited. What would you like me to do, God? So I'm having conversations with God. He said, I need you to go speak to the next generation. I need you to go into the middle schools. I need you to go into the high schools. I need you to go into the colleges. And so I end up flying out here and connected with a guy by the name of Chris Dunn. That's my business partner. You see him right there. He's filming me. Yeah, that's him. I love him. I love him. We start talking about all these things that are profound and how can we impact the next generation based on what they are currently seeing. Because, again, they're watching us right now. I don't know if anybody else understands that. The kids are watching us at this time. So all of a sudden, I started thinking, we're about to go on a tour. We're about to go into communities all over the country. And we're about to educate, teach, and empower people to really step into their greatness, right? Am I right, young lady? Look, she knows what I'm talking about because she's watching me right now. So just her listening to what I have to say is going to get her to realize she can do whatever she wants to do. And sometimes you have to be the example. And so what I want to say, which I think is so profound, I just died on the 12th of March. Now you guys thinking, no, you didn't. No, I did. I was out in Scottsdale doing some work, passed out in the bathroom, and my heart stopped. My defibrillator shocked me, woke me back up. They took me to the Mayo Clinic, and I was talking to the doctor, and she said, I don't know. She didn't even have an answer. No, I'm being serious. She didn't have an answer. She said, I don't know. She said, we thought it was your potassium and your electrolytes. Then we thought you had VFib. We have no idea what just happened. And I said, there's something bigger at play, and we have to honor that. We have to. So I want to say two things, and then I'm going to give the mic to Denise. One of the things that nobody understands, we are Good Friday going into Easter, and normally I do a video today, I'm going to do it today, where I always hit my chest 3 times and point to God, because God is why I'm still here. I don't care what anybody says. So what I would like to do is have you guys hit your chest 3 times and point to God, because for me, I just want to get a photo of it, to be honest. At least I'm being real though. So I'm gonna count to 3, and if you guys would just hit your chest 3 times and point to God, because at the end of the day, you know we all gonna leave this planet, right? I don't know if anybody is aware of that. That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Honor while we're here and take care of the people and love on people and build and support and grow and become the best version of yourself. I'm gonna count to 3, and then if you guys would do that, I'm gonna give the mic to Denise, and I'm gonna go sit down. 1, 2, 3. God bless. I appreciate you.
But there's a few things. We have to be out of here at 10:30. But what I want to say is take a look around this place. It's fantastic. They have 700 parking spaces. People know what I think about parking. That's why we're here. But anyway, so again, Casey is the manager here, Melissa. So you can use this for all kinds of different events. So they have all kinds of spaces. Buy a cookie before you go if they have any left. But they specialize in these giant cookies, and tell them you want it warm. Warm chocolate chip. So with that, I want to say, you know, I'm touched by everybody who came out today because it is Good Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.